Hey everybody, Dr. Shook here. Hope you're doing well today. What I wanted to do today was, touch on something I think is really important. After working with a few thousand people, going through with thyroid problems and seeing the issues that they're presented with, and then obviously listening to and communicating with thousands and thousands of people online like you guys. The biggest issue, I thought about this. I was like, what is the biggest challenge that most people have when they have a thyroid issue? And the biggest challenge is usually that they don't really they don't know where to start. They don't have good direction, because if you think about this for a second. There's not great information out there. There's a lot of information online if you're just trying to help yourself, trying to figure out your thyroid. There's a lot of information. There's a lot of conflicting information. There's also a big gap in what is, a lot of the current literature that's not yet in practice and that's not yet being taught in medical schools, and what is currently being taught and utilized in practice. And quite frankly, I'm hopeful, but I'm not. I don't think that a lot of the information like I share with you guys is going to make it into any kind of mainstream medical practice anytime soon, because there are no medications for it, right? So and it's not that there's a conspiracy or anything. There's definitely not. It's just that when you look at the business model of medicine today, it revolves around procedures and medications and office visits, very quick office visits, right? I mean, there's a lot of sick people, but the problem is that our healthcare providers today, they don't have training to understand the systems-based approach, the stuff that I teach you guys, like all of these varying ways that, for example, thyroid physiology breaks down. Over 24 ways we know that the thyroid physiology can become dysfunctional. In primary care, the providers are only trained in one way. They're trained in looking at the amount of hormone that you have. And if your amount of hormone's okay, then in their mind it's not your thyroid at all, and that's just not true. It's you have to understand production, transportation, sensitivity, and detoxification of hormones to understand hormonal physiology better, like more of a functional approach, like the entire physiological process. So the providers are very intelligent people, but unfortunately they just are not. They're not trained in this way, and then they cannot practice. So most providers are employees, and as an employee, you do what your employer says, and you keep a certain pace. You don't order testing outside of what the practice or the system's rules are. So the healthcare system may say, "Hey, we only order tests that are based on treatment guidelines. So if someone comes in with fatigue and you suspect a thyroid issue, you better only order TSH. If you order anything else, you're ordering outside the treatment guidelines, and that is not according to the standard of care. And first of all, you can be written up, and second of all, the insurance company will audit your records, and they're going to ask for that money back, and we're going to take it from your paycheck, provider, and we'll write you up. And then if you do it repeatedly, you can lose your job. If and if it's an independent practitioner, then the insurance companies, if they do it repeatedly and the insurance companies pay for it, and a lot of times they'll pay for at least some of them, they can accuse them of fraud. So, I mean, listen, our healthcare system is a sick care model. And I'm very appreciative of that system. Don't get me wrong. I'm very glad that we have it for so many problems. But when it comes to some of these chronic disease processes, man, our current healthcare system really needs a new branch of medicine. It needs new tools to help our providers to better help the people that they're serving, and not just focus on the absence of disease. Like, meaning you come in and you have fatigue, and they check your thyroid, and your thyroid TSH looks okay, or let's say it's within the lab range. It might not even be within the ideal ranges, but it's within the lab range. You're going to be like, well, it's not your thyroid. So it must just be that you're depressed, or that you have kids, and the kids just make you tired, or you're just getting older. Those kinds of excuses, which are horrible. Horrible. I don't agree with that. Those are stressors. Those can be stressors, but I don't agree with that at all. I don't agree with any of those statements without a very thorough biochemical assessment where you're looking at multiple systems of the body, and if you don't, and where the provider understands the impacts that a lot of changes in those systems can have that can cause those symptoms that you're experiencing. You can't just blame it on something because it's your opinion. I mean, you can, but I think it's really not. It's a disservice to a lot of people. I think a lot of people are suffering from that. That's guys. This is why I teach. This is exactly why I teach right here. This is why I create our guidebooks and everything that we've done. Which, by the way, I'm done with our 9 Labs guidebook. I finished it. The third version of our 9 Labs guidebook, which went from 8 pages to now 29 pages. There's a lot of videos that we've added in there so that you can further expand your knowledge should you want to. I've added some markers and ratios. I actually added some ratios to our lab interpretation table, where you just basically write in your lab values and then look to the right or the left, and it gives you an idea of what might be going on with your thyroid chemistry. There's 9 tests there, plus there's a ratio that I have added. There's a new video walkthrough that you can get if you want to get that too, where I walk through the full thing, but there's a ton of just information there. Like, what do you do if you don't have a thyroid? Is there anything special you should do when you're getting your thyroid labs drawn? Should you take your medication before? What time of day should you take it? Does your menstrual cycle, if you're menstruating, does your menstrual cycle have an impact on that? Should you do it at a certain time of month? Yes, those are all relevant. There's just a lot more that I've added to it that I've learned over the years. So this is the 3rd edition, which is, I think it's been 2 years since the last update, and it's just a lot more detailed to help people figure out where to start, because we know that our healthcare providers, our doctors, their hands are and our our nurse practitioners and PAs, these people, their hands are tied, and a lot of them want to help, and believe me, they're super fascinated, because I have a lot of them as clients that I work with. I have a lot of them that message me, and I try to listen. I'm all for team approach, man. I'm not anti-medicine at all. I know sometimes I can be harsh on it, but we all have to accept our weaknesses, right? Alternative medicine, functional medicine, all these different types of approaches have weaknesses, and we can all complement one another. So I just want to share that with you guys, because I think it's such a big problem. But I hope that helps you guys to better understand. This is why I teach, so that we have to do this a new way, right? We can't just depend on our doctors to take care of us. We have to be our own advocates, right? And that doesn't have to be a difficult thing. That can actually be a really easy thing. It can be. It doesn't have to be difficult, and that's why I try to teach, and I try to teach very simply, in a simple way that you can learn from. You can understand. So you have to be your own advocate. And you need to be actively participating in your healthcare, like asking questions, not challenging. And if your doctors don't like when you ask questions, then find a different doctor. Okay, find a different doctor, please. Find someone that's willing to treat you with respect and let you ask questions. Now, granted, you're in a system that requires them to keep a certain pace. They have to. I even have to keep a pace, though it's not that fast. I might see like 4 people a day, right? They see 40 or something like that. So I'll see 4 people a day is when I do and I work with people around the world, across the country, distance consulting, video consulting, all that kind of stuff to help them figure things out. But this is something I want to share with you guys, because I think we got to maintain positive attitude with this, because we have our own challenges. But be your own advocate. My mission is to teach you, because if I can help you, I know it's going to help your family. And if it helps your family, that's going to make a positive impact on your community. And if we can change your community, we can change the world. And we can have a really positive impact here. So anyway, I hope this helps you guys. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. I look forward to hanging out with you and talking to you again soon.